escape velocity is if you're here, if you're phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 on this timeline, and that's where Nicholas recognizes himself now. And so at the end of the 10 weeks of escape velocity, my goal for Nicholas is that he will look back and go, it's amazing how different things are. My whole perspective has shifted. I now have clarity. I know how to go about doing the things I want to do. I've never met Nicholas. So this, you get to witness in real time, Nicholas and I meeting and talking about where he's at, and how he will be using escape velocity to get to the next levels. How are you, Nicholas?
Hey man, I'm good.
It's good to meet you. Do you go by Nick or Nicholas?
Anyway you want. Nick,
okay, cool.
Nicholas. I go by Nico here, so.
Oh, Nico.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And where's here? Where do you live?
In Barcelona, Spain.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to meet you. Thanks for being a part of Escape Velocity. Really excited to get to know you better in there. And so I was looking at your thread there.
Yep.
What do you feel is like when we think about at the end of Escape Velocity, what do you want to feel like, oh, thank God I figured that part out. Now I can start kicking ass. Is there one of them that stand out for you?
It could be probably, I would still probably focus on the selling part. Like if I get on a phone call with a prospect, hold, cold, warm, whatever, that I know how to present, the offering, even if I don't have the track record,
yeah,
or the home run in my belt, and so on, to still be confident, that I can do, good stuff for you. Anyway.
Right. That's a great one. Yeah. So just to talk that through a little bit. So here's what and by the way, Escape Velocity, this is technically two. The one was the pilot program of it, where we just explored all this with, 40 people in there. And one of the great takeaways, because this came up a lot, was how do you answer the question from a prospect? Well, Nico, I like what you're saying and you seem smart enough, but why would I hire you over somebody with more experience? I got people offering me the same or even less, and they've been doing this longer than you. It seems like an impossible to answer question, right? And so I'll act out a little bit how I learned to say that when I was stuck with that question early in my career. But the important thing about it is the mindset when you are confronted with that question. What you don't say will say more than what you do say in a lot of ways, right? And so the freedom of all this, the big relief is that you get to be 100% honest, but you just want to be able to spin your answer so you're not just going, yeah, you're right, I don't know why you'd hire me. I mean, that's that's kind of the most honest answer, but that's not real good, right?
Right.
But if your intention is to only partner with the right person, because if they're willing to take a chance on you because they see something in you that they really like, and I don't know, maybe it doesn't make sense on paper, but they're wanting to trust you, you're going to kick ass for them. You just feel it because it's a good match. And that's why you want the gig, as opposed to feeling like losing any opportunity is a horrible thing. It's perfectly fine when it's not a match. And you go, and all that matters is that they leave that conversation going was, you know what, someday I hope to hire Nico because he wasn't right for right now, but that guy's going to kick ass. I can tell. And I bet I'll meet him again down the road. That's great. And so, but what you don't want to do is trick or lie or anything else into a situation where you now have this immense pressure and you can't sleep at night because you're like, I'm going to get found out, and all these anxieties that I had and that we'll have. So good news is you don't have to fluff your resume. You're perfectly fine to hang up and go, that wasn't a match yet, but I'm closer to understanding what is a match for me. And the answer is having more prospect calls, to feeling less pressure on that. When we only have one prospect call on the calendar in a week or 2 weeks or even a month, holy smokes, do we need that thing to close? We'll say anything, right? The pressure we
Exactly.
have going into that thing. But if we got one, 5 a week or, 10 a month, we're like, all right, I'm looking for a good match. I want to, this is going to go well when I find the right people. So it's about volume in the beginning, and talking to the right people. Now, here's what I like to say, and we'll go through this more in Escape Velocity. My answer became to that. So Kev, look, you seem like a well-intentioned guy and a cool guy and all that, but man, there are people with more experience than you offering the same price. Why would I hire you? I go, you know what, Nico, it's a valid question, and you have to make the decision that's right for you. I'm sure you didn't get to this point in your business by not trusting your gut. So all I can tell you is this. The advantage of hiring me right now is that I'm hungrier than those other people. And I'm more eager to hit it out of the park for you than anybody who's been doing this longer for me, because I need the win, because I'm stuck in this sort of conundrum where until I get results working with clients like you, who I feel excited about working with, and get huge results for, it's hard for me to legitimize my standing in the industry. So I need you as much as you need me. And I can promise you, I'm going to work harder than anybody else. And one other advantage to consider, I'm not bringing any bad habits or false assumptions to this proposition. People with more experience tend to get caught into a rut of how things get done, and they're not customizing the work they do for your unique business and product. So something to consider, man. You got to make your own choice, and if it's a right fit, I'm excited about working with you, and we'll talk later. Boom. Right?
Sounds great.
You're just being cool, you're just being sensible, and you're just giving them something to chew on. And then the important thing is that you're willing to end that conversation with no hint of desperation, and you're just like, let me know what you decide. And I'm telling you, man, when I learned to have and that was not at all how that conversation went in the beginning of my career, I can tell you that. It was, but once I did have a little confidence and knew sort of my script, from being put on the spot and stuttering my way through it the first few times, 8 out of 10 times people would come back and go, you know what, man, I got to go on instinct. And 3 days later, you're the name that keeps coming to the top of the list. So I hope it works out. Let's do it, And they would go. And the cool thing about that was now we're really partners in this thing, and I don't have to lose sleep going, oh God, I lied to this person about what I could do. And oh, and the other part I forgot to mention, and this is a really cool one. And this is the beauty of having a community like Rachel was just saying. Another thing I learned to add in there was, and I can tell you this, you're not only, because I've invested in having, coaches and peers who have good experience and understand how I work best. You're not only hiring me, the work I do for you, I'm going to vet through my trusted allies in this industry before you ever see it. So you're not just hiring me, you're hiring me and my entire network, right? That's another thing. Again, it shows them that you take this seriously and you don't want to leave anything to chance, right? Mm-hmm. So those are some things you can say.
Well, you said a key word there, which was also volume, which is something that I'm also struggling right now to find volume of leads. I get some leads, as you said, like 2 a week, for example, but I need the volume. That'll be big as well for me to work on. 100%,
dude. I always say, man, like the prospect calls are one of those things that can only improve with stage time. We can practice them, I guess, if you want to practice in the mirror, but it's just like with stand-up comedy. The joke only gets funnier when people don't laugh and when they do laugh. And that's how you would, instinctively adjust the thing. It's the same with this. It's like, you got to go through, like Eric was just saying, he just did this an hour ago and he sounded like a groveling idiot. I know that pain. But in Escape Velocity, we actually role play these calls a little bit. So hopefully the first time you say things like you go, I can't believe I just said that. it's with me or Rachel, and we can have a laugh about it, and it didn't cost you money, and you don't want to, it doesn't eat at you for a day. You know what I'm saying?